What's up? Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to today's live stream. We'll be talking all about live trading. Yes, we'll be live trading today. We'll be taking a look at the market mood, what I call market mood. Some people refer to it as market conditions. Some people refer to it as market health. I like to think of it as the market mood. We'll be taking a look at that first, and we'll be doing looking at some open trades and trades that I find interesting too. So, before this live stream started, I hopped on Instagram and started to invite the people over there too. So I see a lot of people on here already. So thank you guys. Let me know if you were on Instagram, if you saw that. Uh, Another thing too, I have been streaming these to Twitter. I decided to stop streaming to Twitter, at least for now, because you guys cannot interact on Twitter. So I don't see any of the comments or questions that come in from Twitter. So we're doing it to YouTube, to Facebook, and over here to Share Vision. So got those three places on, and here we go. Let's dive into things. We'll start with the market mood overview. Let me know what questions you have as we go. And why don't I change this over here so that way the little banner thing is not in the way. Okay, so when we're taking a look, when we're reviewing the market, right, and whenever we're reviewing any kind of trades, here's something that I'm a stickler for. You see these charts, you see how they're not fully aligned, right? Like you have annotations on some, and some are zoomed in, others are zoomed out. What I like to do first is take the annotations off, reset all the charts. This is something that's super simple that everybody that's here that's watching, you could do this on your charts, and it's a great way for you to start off with any kind of trading or analysis or anything that you're going to do. So that way you get into the habit of seeing the big picture and starting off correctly first before you dive into any kind of analysis, and it'll help prevent you from just getting kind of sucked into the weeds. Anyway, so what do we got here? We've got the 5 major indices plus the IBD 50. That's what I like to look at. So we've got the S&P 500, the NASDAQ, we've got the Russell 2000, the New York Stock Exchange, the Dow, and the IBD 50 down here. So when I'm looking at these monthly time frames, well, what I'm looking to see first is which way is the trends moving? Are they moving up, down, sideways? Which way are things going at this 10,000 foot view? So that way I know which way the longer term trends are heading. Right, like the long-term trends are always the dominant trends. So that's why we always want to start with the monthlies. So taking a look at these, I see even more people coming on now. Welcome, everybody. Let me know, type into the chat what trends you see here. Do you see the S&P 500? Is it in an uptrend, sideways? Well, which way is it going? How about the NASDAQ? How about the Russell? Which way is the Russell moving, up, down, or sideways? The New York Stock Exchange, same thing. Let me know. The Dow, which way is the Dow moving? Up, down, or sideways? And how about over here with the IBD 50? Which way is it moving? Up, down, or sideways? Type into the chat. Let me know. Do that now. Do that now. Do not be shy. Maybe I'll give a prize to the first person that answers. We'll see. Ash, I'm going to butcher your name. I apologize. Ashutosh sees uptrends. All right. So let me think about what kind of prize I want to give you, and I will get it to you. Just send me an email, mike@marawealth.com, remind me, and then we'll work something out. Appreciate you being the first one to comment here. Lewis also says up. All right. So are we talking about the S&P? S&P? Talking about this one here. The way that, so there's a lot of ways to skin a cat, right? But we could just look from back here and say, oh yeah, it's from the lower left to the upper right. And like if your eye is almost like drawing something like this, then yeah, of course it's an uptrend, right? Like if we go back far enough, it's always going to be in an uptrend. If we're measuring even from down here, right? You might say that, oh, well, you know what? It's almost been like holding this ascending trend line for a long time. It was riding up along it over here, and it started to find some resistance around this level up here. It's almost a trick question. Thank you guys. Thank you, Lewis. Thank you. Thank you, Ash. It's almost a trick question because it depends on your trading style. If you are a long-term investor, right? Let's say that you are holding for a couple of years, right? Then you're going to be looking back further, right? You're going to be looking at the time frames back here, right? Like this is 2017. If you're long term, like really long term, that you're looking back there. If for most of us, right, you're on the stream. Most of us are intermediate term, meaning that we're going to be holding for less than a year. You might be a swing trader where you're holding for several weeks to maybe a couple of months if the trade works out. That's the style that I favor the most. Maybe you're a day trader. Well, whatever kind of style that you are, the shorter that you get, the more that you're going to want to focus on the most recent action. And so here, right, the S&P 500 made both a higher high and a lower low. So as far as I'm concerned, I'm looking at this as the start of sideways action, right? And maybe you agree, maybe you disagree, but what we're also aiming for is that you want to be consistent with your analysis, right? So it doesn't mean it means that we want to continuously evolve, right? We want to continue to get better, but we want to be consistent with how we're looking at things and how we're analyzing. Um, I would consider this to be the beginning of a downtrend, right? You might say, how the hell is that a downtrend? You come back here, right? 2003, and draw your trend line, right? Like you could just take 2 points, right? That's not how you should really draw a trend line in trading, but just to demonstrate a point here, you might look at that and say, oh, uptrend. Well, for me, as far as uh, the charts are small, why don't I zoom in a little bit over here? Let me know if this is better for you. Right? So if I'm zoomed in like this, and then I'm looking at the monthly time frame of the Nasdaq, I'm looking at this as a downtrend, right? Short series of lower highs, lower lows being made, and on the monthly time frame, it also undercut the past several months' lows. It also undercut that red line, which is a 12-month moving average. So I don't want to beat a dead horse here, but the others are similar. The others are similar. Like, well, when we come over here to the Russell made series of lower highs, lower lows, undercut the several months lows out. Like it was holding this low here from February of 2021, was knocking on the door for a long time, and then finally broke that this month. We have the New York Stock Exchange moving sideways, right? Pretty crazy outside reversal month going on, and similar over here on the Dow. Let's move over to the weekly. Thanks, Lee. Love you too. Um, so, guys, let me know if zooming in like I did before, if that helped with the charts. If I'm zoomed in like this, does that make it better for you guys? Also, too, so I invited a lot of you over from Instagram Live. If you were on Instagram a moment ago and you're watching this on your phone, just like turn the phone this way, turn the phone that way, right? Horizontally, and maybe it'll help things a little bit. All right, cool. So on weekly and daily timeframes, it's pretty clear that we're in downtrends, right? Like if we're looking over the past couple of months here, we started to make a series of lower highs, lower lows um, across the board, right? And there were a couple of spots here where made like long-term support levels are tested and that they bounced, right? So on the S&P, right, coming back over here to the September lows, uh, hard sell-off, and stocks aren't going to just go straight down forever, right? Like even when we were back here, right? Like intra week in 2020, it found some layers of support and then like would bounce, and then that's how you get these kind of crazy moves. Over here, right? It found support at a significant level and rallied. We'll see what happens from there, but I just like to highlight some of the major lows right now too, right? So here's another clue: series of lower highs, lower lows. This red line here, that's the 10-week moving average. So it's just averaging out the price action over the past 10 weeks. And you could see that the momentum has shifted to the downside. How do we know that? Because this line is curved down. This is the 40-week line over here. It holds the long-term trend. And it too is starting to flatten out. Price dropped below it last week pretty hard, pretty heavy. And this week, yeah, it bounced off of this line over here from that support level. But so far, this is acting as resistance, that 40-week line. We'll see what happens by the end of the week. Similar action on the other indexes. And again, I don't want to beat a dead horse, and we don't have that much time here together. I want to make the most of it. So let's take a look at some of these here. That should be the IBD 50. Let's put that back to FFTY. Okay, great. So let's zoom in on this, right? S&P 500 again. Got a lot of other markings on this chart here, including the different moving averages here. So I have a 5 EMA, a 10 EMA, a 21 EMA. That's a 50. You can see all these moving averages, right? It's just quantifying the move, and it's all pointed down, pretty sharply down too. Spiked below the 200-day moving average, right? So it's breaking that long-term trend, and that these moving averages, none of them are magic, right? Well, the only thing that it's telling us is short, intermediate, long-term trends. That's it. And yes, a lot of people use them, and so sometimes it does tend to become a self-fulfilling prophecy where you test one and it miraculously gets support around it. Why? You have a lot of eyeballs on this thing, and well, that's what can happen sometimes. What didn't happen was finding support at it right here, or it did that day, right? Price fell, stopped at the 200-day moving average, and then sliced through it the following day. And then on Monday, yesterday, price fell even further, pretty hard drop initially, right? But then price rallied back, down about 5%, rallied back, right? And that got a lot of the people excited. But where's price stop? Right? We need to be aware of some of these other moving averages too, and just for nothing else, to quantify the momentum. Which way are things going? Yes, price reversed, closed near its high, did it on heavy volume, but it's also doing it right below the 200-day moving average. It needs more time. It needs more time to digest this move and then pick another direction. Maybe it consolidates, maybe it starts to move higher, but it needs time. Plus, well, we haven't even spoken about this yet, some of the setups too, right? You need setups that are going to drive the market higher, right? It's not just a stock index, it's an index of stocks. What the stocks are doing, that matters a lot. And well, we'll get to that in a minute. So far today, it's been a pretty wild, whippy day on a number of them here. Let's zoom in a little bit more on this. Yeah, they're still below their the EMAs. It's going to take a little bit of time for this to digest. Where we close will make a big difference in a lot of them. Any questions on any of this or anything that I've mentioned thus far? All right. Let's move on to the trade ideas. Now, I'll start over here with the open trade. This is actually, I opened a position in gold today, and there's a bunch of annotations on there. Let me hide all that stuff. bunch of different indicators out, like the Fibonacci tool. Started to put more of that to work after that great interview that we did with Dennis Wilborn. Right? If you haven't seen that, go back on the channel, check that out. Um, but um, gold, to me, looks phenomenal. Right? This is a picture perfect consolidation here. Right? Let me put some of the annotations back on. We could delete this fib temporarily and delete this over here. Basically, it looks like a ginormous cup with handle started way back here in 2011, consolidated, and you end up with multiple ways to see a pattern. And that's one of the things that can make this really strong. Not only that, but the backdrop, the fundamental backdrop of interest rates, of Fed increase, all these rate hikes looming. Uh, Gold tends to thrive under those kind of conditions. So that's why I started the position in gold, and gold confirmed its attempted rally and breakout today. Started it last week when it poked its nose. Whoops, poked its nose above this right here. Right, so I was looking at this little consolidation, right? Like it came down, was starting to rally over here. Could have entered that day. I chose not to take the early entry because my intent, right? So go back to intent for your trade. For me, for this one, it's intended to be long term, right? So I'm looking to hold this thing for several months, potentially a year or longer. So I wanted to get it above that blue line there. That blue line is what's known as the anchored VWAP, anchored volume weighted average price. So it got above that. That shows that the buyers are back in control. And it also has the volume on this breakout so far. All things that I like. The moving averages expanded. There's a bunch of things in here that I like more than I can really explain. And why not try, right? So some of the things that I liked about this was starting to one thing short term that's good. So if you're into short term or swing trading, when you have the moving averages bunched up like this down here, everybody see that? You see the moving averages, they're all kind of coiled in that area. And there's so much so that you can barely see them, right? That's good. When price starts to emerge from that, and you start to see those moving averages start to expand, right? Like it's almost like fingers like coming apart, like they're super tight, and then they expand like this. That's what you're getting right over here, and they're stacked in the right order. So it's showing the momentum beginning to increase. That this would have made a fine swing trade as well, right? You come down into the 30-minute time frame, and you can see like a little mini cup with handle in here. In fact, I was considering this trade this morning, right? That cup with handle breaking out right there. That would have been good for about probably about 2R. How many are in that? Oh, about 1.5 so far. Yeah, no, would have been that would have been another one too. So those are trades that I'm in. I've got a good sized position in gold in the long term account. For the focus list, other trades that I had my eye on, right? So I've got this list here. Very, 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 very thin list, right? Oh, and I forgot to switch a banner. Whoops. Okay, so open trades and interesting ideas. Yeah, the last one, the gold. That's open trade. Now talking about some of the interesting ideas. Again, guys, if you had or anybody that's here, right? Let me know what questions that you have. Let me know what trades you guys want to look at as well. So a few that were on the radar yesterday, a few that caught my attention. I didn't trade any of these because I saw flaws with each of them. And I'll walk you through and let you know what kind of flaws I was seeing with these. So, thing that caught my attention well with Exxon, right? This line right here. You see that line? I'll make this a bit bigger. This line right here, that's a relative strength line. That means that this is outperforming the majority of stocks in the market, right? So that's one of the first things that I look for in just about every trade that I'm going to take. And when it's strong, then I want to be trading the leaders. The leaders have the most momentum. Um, so coming back over to this, when I started to say like, oh, well, what are some of the flaws? Flaw that I saw that this to me this didn't consolidate quite enough. And like it ran up, it pulled back for 2 days. It like that. It's not really a consolidation. Maybe it makes a good day trade. Like it probably would have made a good day trade, but I'm less interested in day trading personally at this point. The reason why is like I'm writing a book. I'm doing these live streams. I've got another elite program service that I'm running. I'm doing all these other things, coaching, mentoring. Don't really have a ton of time for day trading at this point. Plus, it's like those are the main reasons. But I could see how this setup here could have worked well as a day trade. The reason why is because we'll talk about it here. It works on multiple time frames. Look for multiple time frame consolidations, right? So if this has momentum, right, and this is a good tip for you day traders out there. If you are looking for day trades and you have momentum on your side, so this broke out. You know that you have momentum based on the relative strength, based on the volume. The volume here is freaking huge and price is consolidating and it's starting to break out on the daily time frame. Let's see if that breakout would have worked. That not really on the weekly. It actually made a fresh weekly high today, but back here it wasn't on working on the weekly just yet. But so if it's working on the daily and then you drill down into the intraday timeframes, then you could find your spot and trade with the longer term time frame. Somebody on the Instagram live, and I was doing a lot of what was it? Ask Me Anything on Instagram. So if you're not following me on Instagram, go follow on Instagram as well. If you're from Instagram and you're watching this, make sure that you subscribe to the channel anyway. Um, a question that I got was about day trading. So if that's you and you wanted to know more about how to day trade and find great setups, look for the setups on the higher time frames. Look for them on the daily, look for them on the weekly, and then trade in the direction of that. So this setup here, right, that downtrend, right, kind of works on the daily. It's not my preferred setup if I were going to try to swing trade, but that's a valid breakout and it's something that works and did work down here on the 30-minute. And you could even tighten up your risk over here, right? Because you're trying to get in for a day trade. So enter above this little consolidation zone right over here, right? So it found resistance there, came back up, found resistance right there, and then broke through this morning and started to run. You could have a stop right below that swing low, and you would have made about 1 times your risk so far, a little bit more than 1 times your risk. So that's the kind of stuff that I look at for day trades, for swing trades. The same philosophy works whether you're day trading, swing trading, all of it. So that's Exxon. Well, what trades are you guys interested in? Well, what do you want to see? Throw a few into the chat. Ash had a question. Uh, how do we know? May we know your setup? There's a few different setups that I look at that I consider. So primarily, right? Primarily, I'm looking for like VCP type patterns. What's a VCP type pattern? Volatility contraction pattern where prices uh, it's volatile in the beginning and it contracts as we move left to right. I'm looking for now for that action in pretty much anything that I'm going to trade. I am looking at flags, right? So if I'm trading a flag, I'd want it to have that volatility contraction within the flag. If I'm trading a cup with handle, I want that volatility contraction. If it's a flat base, I want the volatility to be contracting. The more it contracts, the tighter my entry and my stop can be. Lee wants to talk about shop. Let's take a look at shop. Shop 700? You think that it's going there, or I don't understand Shop 700. Got Shopify here. Yeah, it's not something that I would be looking to buy. Um, Not quite sure. Yeah, maybe it might be ready to short again. Um, if it breaks this. Right, like it broke that level, right? Back here, you have to go all the way back to 2020 to find some kind of maybe it catches support there. Um, but it's been in a prolonged downtrend for a while, right? So this started way back here in November, and it's already down or it already dropped more than 50%. I would want to see this start to flag out and then see. So flag out, see the shorter term and intermediate term moving averages, the 10 and the 21 play catch up, and then see if it can break down further. I think over here, it's so far extended to the downside that uh, it you could get a short squeeze. But then again, this is the kind of environment where shorts can work. So if your target is 700, why 700? Just curious. 700. So like right down here. You're looking at around using a support level. Is that the reason why? Yeah, I'd want to see this get nice and tight and then try to play for that kind of move. And this it's just so wide and loose, right? Like when it was coming down here, right? Like this is kind of orderly. Looking at this, like hugging the five, hugging the 10, and then it broke hard on Friday, and then followed through on Monday. I think it needs some time to digest this move. Other ideas? What are the ones do you have for me? Lewis, how can you be so sure? Be so sure about what? Be so sure about Shopify? I'm not saying that this is what will happen. So I think that this is actually a good point. So when it comes to trading, the idea is to anticipate, right? So based on what we know that Shopify is in a very steep decline, right? Very strong downtrend. It's been in that downtrend now for a couple months, right? And the sell-off has gotten worse and worse and worse. And also, the relative strength line has been leading the way, right? It actually broke down, right? Like this started to break and fall below support from way back here before price, right? So let's remove some of these drawings over here. So you have you have this level of support right over here, right? So price takes out that level of support last week, but you also have a level of support on the relative strength line, right? Like the relative strength line, that this little squiggly line over here, this is how price is performing versus the S&P 500. It was catching support at that line, at this level right over here, and it broke down right here, right? To kick off January, such a breakdown. So that's a sign that Shopify, the price action is leading the market down. So, well, what else? Yeah, it's extended to the downside. Um, yeah, maybe it catches 700. I think that 700 is it's an okay target. Um, curious, I'd be curious how you arrive at the target. But it's one to keep on the radar. And here's another thing too: the short weakness, right? Like, so not only is the price action weak, not only is the relative strength weak, the group itself is super weak too. Let's see. Oh wow, in India it's 1 a.m., but well, we'll wait for your gift as I was the first person on, and I hope I might get some educational stuff. Yeah, definitely. So email me. Again, email mike@marawolf.com and I will chat with you. Get you something real nice. All right, cool. Next up, Tesla 962. That's pretty specific. Tesla 962. Where's it at right now? So you think Tesla's going to bounce it? Listen, I would not be playing. Well, yeah, I don't want to crap on anybody's idea. Like everybody's idea is valid and good. So, well, what you want to do is like try to understand. Well, why am I playing for this or that? All right. So let's see. And this is what I like to do too inside the elite program. Like if somebody has ideas, and even when I give ideas too, I want everybody to try to find as many holes in these ideas as we can. Because if we're coming up with ideas and we are analyzing them together, like how many sets of eyes are better than just one set of eyes, right? Like even if it's a different way of trading, like maybe you see something that I don't. So I love to hear all this kind of feedback. And we could do it in a constructive way too, right? Like there's so much like vileness on some of the social media platforms. It's all about us like collaborating and trying to make money together, right? So Tesla, Tesla did reverse yesterday. Did it on heavy volume. Uh, it the trend is still down, right? Like even though it popped above yesterday's high, okay, fine. But come over here to the 30-minute, you can see like how this rally is getting weak, right? Like volume's declining on this. Like it's like an oversold bounce. Um, maybe it follows through. Like I wouldn't have a ton of confidence in this. Plus earnings is when earnings is my light is blocking it. I think earnings is tomorrow. Yeah, earnings is tomorrow. Um, yeah, I'm not confident in. There's so much like stocks that do not fit the type of stuff that I like to see as far as the price action goes. I would want to see this consolidating, right? Like so, even back here, right? So before this whole mess happened, started to look at Tesla back here when it started to make its move back above the 50-day moving average, right? Like, oh wow, look, it's starting to come over here. Well, we did have some talk with our members of like, oh, maybe this is a double bottom, right? Like sloppiest double bottom I've ever seen in my life, but like kind of the essence is there, but even then, not something that terribly interested in. Like if it's like maybe it's a sea level setup, right? Because it's just like so wide and so loose, very unorderly. But let's advance this a little bit. Pops above that descending trend line. Okay, so maybe you have a good short-term swing in here. But even as a short-term swing, right? If you're going to use this high versus that low, and you are having your stop over here, your stop is about 7% away. That means that you need this to break out 7% just to make 1 times your risk. Okay, Tesla is known to move, so maybe that works. Pulls back some more, pulls back again. Now you're close below the 50, but volume is trailing off. That's a halfway decent handle if you wanted to look at a handle. And it was actually on this weekend that we were talking about it in the group too, and that's when I think they said that they had delivered more cars or trucks than any other period. That's fantastic news. And then on Monday it gapped up. Right, so if you're in it from back here, then okay, fine, and you were able to hold through that pullback. You made 1.5 R, but if you didn't take profits there, if you didn't sell any of it, then a couple of days later, now you're back to break even. Now uh, the trade's just fallen apart, and it would have stopped you out right there. So still the kind of environment where like this is just such a wonky looking thing. Like even at this point, right? What the hell am I doing over here? Uh, get rid of this. Yeah, like you want nice tight bases, like things that like this over here, right? Like how when price started to consolidate, then it ran up, pulled back, and then it's consolidating nice and tight in this zone, right in there, and even more so over here. Like look how tight this is. This is what I love to see. Right, so it consolidated, it broke out, tested the 50, okay. Now it's consolidating a bit more. This is what like VCP action, right? Like, so you have this area back here, pretty wide, pretty loose, then it consolidates again, then it consolidates again, then it consolidates again. And you can see how price is consolidating both from general price action, right? Wide and loose bars. And also in time, time is condensing for each one of those consolidations too. Then it breaks out over here and then it's off to the races. That's what I like to see. Don't see any of that kind of stuff right now. So for the most part, I'm just sitting waiting. Lewis, great seeing you, buddy. And I'll see you on the next live stream. Yeah, actually, we're a few minutes over right now. So guess we'll wrap things up here. All right. So, great chatting with you guys. I had a bunch of comments on this thing. Well, let's hide current comment. Oh, that's good. So we did the open trades. We spoke about market mood review. I hope that this was helpful. Let me know. Type into the chat if this was helpful. Lewis, I appreciate you, buddy. Yeah, Sasha, appreciate you too. Lee, love talking to you as well. And yeah, everybody else, I appreciate you guys. And I will see you back here tomorrow. Tomorrow, again, well, what are we doing tomorrow? Tomorrow, I got a topic from people over on Instagram. You guys here that are on YouTube or Facebook or over here on ShareVision, let me know what topics you're most interested in, and we'll do live streams about it. It's meant to help you guys. Tomorrow we will be doing how to cope with drawdowns, all the different tools at your disposal to cope with drawdowns. Doing that, and I will see you then. Take care. Much love. Peace out, everybody.
Hey, thanks so much for sticking around to the end. If you're new here, hit the subscribe button down below and become a part of the Marrow Wealth community. And make sure that you check out some of the other videos on the channel. They're exactly what you need to see. And leave a comment down below. I read all of them. Leave a comment.